Hi everyone, my name is Owen Murphy, co-founder of the Sales Circle, where we have helped over 300 people from all kinds of backgrounds break into tech sales and set themselves on a top 1% earning trajectory career path at the world's top tech companies, Salesforce, HubSpot, Rippling, Stripe, and many, many others from, as we said, all kinds of backgrounds. And today we have one of those students on with us here, the lovely Katie, who has been which is now just over the last couple of months and has now broken into tech sales. So yeah, Kate, could you just give a little high level overview of people, who you are, and yeah, what are you doing now?
Yeah, so my name is Katie, and I have just been accepted to work for Rippling as an inbound SDR.
Excellent, excellent, unbelievable. And Kay, when we spoke back a couple of months ago, I suppose we could take me back to before you joined the sales circle. What were you doing, and what made you kind of maybe feel that that was time for a change, basically?
Yeah, so I was working kind of in customer service for about 2.5 years, and I'd kind of seen the ceiling come down quite quickly. I had moved up fairly quickly in that role, and I'd seen my progression was kind of slowing down a lot, and I knew I needed a change. I knew I wanted a change. Didn't know what it was for months and months. Had actually spoke to a family member who was in tech sales, and when I initially heard sales, I was like, no, no, not for me. Can't do it. Not for me. And he's like, just look into it. So that's when I started looking up actually on TikTok tech sales, and then yourself popped up. So yeah, that's kind of where it landed me to today. Then I suppose.
And what was that? I suppose that feeling that was coming over you in terms that you'd only been in this career that you're in the customer service like 2.5 years, and already that ceiling was starting to come down on you in terms of starting to see like, geez, my earnings is capped here, my progression maybe is going to be quite slow. Like, how was that feeling at that point?
Yeah, not great. Knowing that I'd moved up quite quickly, so I knew I was lucky in that sense. But I was looking kind of at the team leader, at the manager, and like we'd had joked and laughed about like we're not going anywhere. So I was looking at maybe a thousand, 2,000 every 2 years increase in pay, and I was like, oh God, that's just not going to do for now. So yeah, it wasn't a very nice feeling knowing that you're putting in all the hard work, and it's probably not going to be coming out on the other side where you want it to be.
And when you looked, and obviously I was kind of a family friend or whoever that had mentioned to you about tech sales, and when you started to do a bit more research into it, what was that made you feel like, okay, you know what, this actually seems like a good fit and something I should actually pursue?
I think it was more knowing that if I went, say, with the sales circle, I know I'd be able to get as much information before just jumping into a job and not really knowing what to do with it, and at least going in with as much information as possible. I'm a bit of a need to know person, so to know that I could do this course and really start off ahead of people that maybe aren't doing the course, that's what really stood out to me most.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose, being honest, I suppose when you first came across, breaking into tech sales and, seeing maybe obviously our stuff in terms of doing it with literally zero experience, like, did you actually believe it was possible for someone like you, I suppose, to break into one of these massive tech companies where you were starting at that point?
I don't know. I don't know what I thought. Like I thought I was just gonna do a course and plod along the way and that would be fine. Like I didn't really know if that makes sense, what was
Yeah.
possible and what wasn't. It was only then when I started doing the course. It's not just a case of you walk in, you do the job, like you have to put the work in, is kind of when I was like, oh, okay, so this really is like high stakes here to get into a place, never mind, starting somewhere.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose when you were in that position, and you kind of very quickly you made a decision, you were like, if I'm going to break into tech sales, I want to go with the sales circle and do it that way. Like, what was the reason that you were like, okay, immediately I'm going to go down the sales circle route, as opposed to saying like, oh, I'm going to go and try to figure this out myself for a couple of months?
I think it was mostly after speaking with you, and that initial call. I was so worried about what if it doesn't work?
Hmm.
What do I do then? And you were so reassuring. You were like, no, like I'm telling you, it's gonna work. You've such transferable skills. Like you have the ability to do it. You just have to put the work in. So before speaking with you, I was more hesitant. It was after that first initial call, I was like, oh, okay, so maybe this is the right road for me to go down, and doing the course is actually going to help me and benefit me in the long run. I don't think, well, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have been able to, I would have been swallowed up and spat back out if I had have went solo. It wouldn't have worked. I would have came crawling back.
Yeah, 100%. And look, we've had it plenty of times where people make the decision they're going to do it themselves, and eventually they say, okay, you know what, maybe I should have just went this way in the first place. But I suppose, yeah, you said there about you came in and you kind of started to go through the train, and then realized like, okay, right, you know, there's a good bit of work that we're still going to have to be put in here, of course. You know, walk me through what was the experience actually like going through, I suppose, the sales circle. What were you doing day to day to kind of get yourself kind of ready for landing that role?
Yeah, it was, I was really excited to start. So it felt like I was nearly doing like my 9 to 5 and then coming home and college was starting. It was that kind of something new, something exciting. You were getting ready to sit with the laptop. Like I think most evenings when I first started, I was up till 11 or 12 at night, just constantly on the laptop, taking notes, really going through it. And I suppose I probably didn't realize at the time, probably my own fault. I was literally going through a slide, writing everything down, you know, probably being a bit too fussy with it. But it benefit like that's just how I learned. That's how it
Mhm.
worked perfectly for me. But yeah, it felt exciting, and I was excited to get home and go to the next slide or figure out what else it was that I was going to be doing on the course. So yeah, it was a lot of work, but it paid off tenfold.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then when you actually got into the interview process, and I suppose obviously we were doing, I remember I was actually sitting in a cafe in Dublin doing a mock call with you. I was doing a mock call with you one day. I suppose walk me through, I suppose, like what that process of going through the interview process was like, working with us as opposed to maybe having had tried to maybe figure that out yourself.
I wouldn't have been able to figure it out myself. That's for sure. The interview stages are so intense, and knowing some sort of information of what an SDR looks like, or just the day-to-day runnings of it, even from my CV being changed to my old CV to my new CV, I even took some insight out of that. If they're looking for numbers, this is what they want. So it's so intense. Like with Rippling, I had to do, the first one was a mock call, then I had to do a full presentation. So if I had have gotten that far doing it on my own, I wouldn't have been able to. It just wouldn't have happened. So like even with you guys, you gave me like tips of like other people that have recently only gone through the exact same presentation, and reach out to them, see what they can help you with if they can. So like absolutely would not have made it through them interview processes without Sales Circle.
And I suppose, yeah, what was it like then when I believe it was manager, was the recruiter, Rosie had text you or rang you and said that I suppose you'd been offered the job. What was that feeling like?
Oh, I was honestly, I was so happy. I'd say Rose is like, she's a bit too excited for life here, but do you know what? When I heard Rippling from the beginning, I think there's like a mock call on the sales circle, and I was like, oh my God, I can relate to that product one for so much just because of like my current situation. I onboard people and it takes forever. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, I love this company. No, I really love it. So to then get the phone call and be like, no, yeah, we actually want you, it was the best feeling ever.
Unreal, unreal. And I suppose looking back now, you said there about your transferable skills, and you started to realize, oh, you know what, I actually have some skills here that are going to be very applicable, and I was able to bring them into an interview. You seen in your CV just how much stuff was actually going to be able to translate across. If you were talking to other people that are maybe coming from some type of a customer service, customer facing role, and they're thinking about, is tech sales actually possible to break into? I suppose, what advice would you be giving to them?
Yeah, I think like especially from my own background, like a customer service, phones. I also worked face to face as well. I suppose it's being able to think on the spot and problem solve and being able to help someone out. Like you're going to be on the phone, you're going to be reaching out to people, cold calling. So it's having the confidence in yourself, and like if you're in customer service, you're dealing with people on the phones. You have that skill already. That's like I'm not nervous about talking to people on the phone. It's anything else other than that. So. Yeah, I think like you don't realize how many transferable skills you have until you're actually going through the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things that you mentioned to me when we were actually on the call the first day was, you were in the office 5 days a week, really long hours, and a lot of stuff that came with that. But, moving into tech sales now, you're going to be able to reclaim a certain portion of that and bring back a lot more flexibility probably into your life. How does that feel now looking forward?
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like I've already said for the first while, I'm going to be in the office because I do think that's just where I'll learn the most. But to know that down the road, there's work from home. I think I have like 4 weeks weeks a year I can work from anywhere in the world.
Unreal.
So, even that in itself, having the option and having the flexibility is just insane compared to sitting in the office 9 to 5 every day.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I suppose just overall now, just looking forward, very quickly within 2.5 years, you noticed, okay, I'm at the ceiling here already in terms of earnings, but looking forward now at the tech sales career path that's ahead of you and all the avenues you can take and how there is just continuous progression. Like, how does that feel now, just looking forward for the future of your career?
Yeah, so exciting. I'm so excited just to get kind of going to begin with, and then, wherever it may lead me in the future, who knows? But it's just the buzz around it. Like, even when I'm speaking to my manager, I'm actually meeting with her for a coffee tomorrow. Like, there's just a buzz around the whole thing, and it's great. So I just can't wait to see where we go and where it takes me.
Okay, well, last question then, Katie. If someone was sitting in the exact same position you were sitting in just a few months ago, and what would you say to them?
Just go for it. If you're genuinely interested or you feel like it's something that you want to do, it's an investment, but if you put the work in, it is so worth it in the end.
Well, Katie, you've summed it up there. Absolutely lovely. And if there's anyone else that is watching this, whether you're coming from a customer service background or from any of the variety of backgrounds we've worked with before, it doesn't matter what it is. As Kay said, if you put in the work, you will have more transferable skills than you actually probably even realize, and you will get the result that you're looking for. So if you want to be the next one that can break in just like Kay and do so in just the next 60 days, there's a link down in the description where you can go and book a call in with our team. We'll go through in detail about you, your background, and create a bit more of a personalized plan like we did with Kay about how we can translate those skills across and get you into an absolutely amazing company like Rippling, like Katie has done. So Kay, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story today. And yeah, thanks very much.